Alright guys, so we've looked at visual illusions, which are mistakes essentially in visual perception. Today we're looking at mistakes in gustatory perception, so mistakes in taste. Alright, so our first thing is judgment of flavours, and we've mentioned this before, but flavour is our perceptual experience produced by a combination of taste and other sensations. So it's not just taste, it can be smell, for example, as well, but it can also be colour, texture, all of these different things. So this information from sensory receptors in papillae that detect the following. So we have other sensory receptors in those tiny little bumps on our tongue. They will detect temperature if the food is too hot or cold, pain, so for example chili in your food making it spicy, the tactile sensation of texture, so is the peanut butter chunky or smooth? And then we also need to look at flavour as a multi-sensory nature. So perceptual set has a big play, as it does with visual illusions. Colour intensity, texture also do. So these are the ones we're looking at today. And we're going to start with perceptual set. And hopefully before you do anything else, what you'll see is, what you'll see down the bottom in the left-hand corner over here is a pretty standard looking dinner and some things that are not coloured the way you expect them to. And if you have food that is not coloured the way you expect it to, it's not going to taste the same, even if it's exactly the same foods. So the influence on flavour we experience based on expectations and preconceived ideas about how foods and drinks should taste. That's what our perceptual set of flavour is, our expectations and preconceived ideas. They're formed through past experience, and you don't have to have actually tried something to have an expectation of what it tastes like. But your perceptual set can be based on others in your family who like or dislike a food. It can be what it looks like. And colour seems to be our most important cue when it comes to our expectation of the likely taste of food and drinks. We know it's brown, therefore we assume it's going to be chocolate and we're going to like it. We know it's pink, therefore you assume it's going to taste like strawberry, and you may or may not like strawberry. If it's yellow colour, you might be like, oh, it's banana, I know I'm not going to like this. May not be, but that's what your perception will be. We make associations between colours and foods and drinks in childhood, and we link them to flavours and tastes, as well as freshness of foods. So for example, your peas, if they're really bright green, you're going to go, oh yeah, it's fresh. They're a little bit brown looking, you're going to go, it's not going to taste as good, it's not going to be fresh. So have a think. Have you ever been discouraged to try something based on expectations you already have about how it will taste? So for example, I absolutely refuse to try any type of olive because I just don't think that I would like it, whether or not I've tried it before. Same with cheeses. I hate cheese. I don't like certain cheeses, so I won't even try the other ones. Have you ever been disgusted by something you've never tried? Again, cheese for me. I'm sure you guys are the opposite though. Colour intensity. So colour does tend to dominate over every other sensory information in influencing our expectations of taste and flavour. And changing the intensity of a colour can impact our expectations. So a really good example of this is cheese in America. They will make it a brighter yellow, a more intense yellow, because people in America expect it to taste better that way. So expectation that more intensely coloured is more likely to be more intensely flavoured. So basically the stronger the colour, the stronger the flavour. At least that's our expectation. All right, see if you can create an annotated diagram that displays colour intensity and the influence it has on our judgments of flavour. You can pause the video and have a go at that if you like. Texture. property of a food or drink that is felt in the mouth and contributes to flavour, combined with taste, vision, and other sensations. So a lot of times people won't like certain meats because they're fatty and the texture of that is a problem. A lot of people won't like soup, for example, because of the texture. Texture really has a massive impact. Texture stimulates the tactile sensations and is perceived in response to touch. So texture can affect flavour. It can by helping to determine how much surface area of the food or drink comes in contact with our taste receptors. And it contributes to the overall acceptability of food or drinks, as well as the appearance and flavour. So if the texture is not what you're expecting, you're certainly not going to like it. But at the same time, it also gives us an indication of how much and how strong that flavour is going to be based on how much of it we have tried. So you can pause this one here as well. How would you describe the texture of things below? Would they be greasy, tough, creamy, crumbly, tender, crunchy, moist, or mushy? And based on your expectation of the texture, if it's something different, you're not going to like it. So advertising of food impacts our expectations about the texture of foods as well. You expect a can to be cold because advertising usually has drips of condensation on the outside. Lint, you can see that smooth flow going on top, so expect it to be a smooth texture. Peanut butter, crunchy. Right? You're expecting to have bits of nuts in that. And if it's not that, you're not going to enjoy it as much. So we talked before about potato chips being advertised as crispy. You want to see that crunch. If they don't have that crunch, you're not going to perceive them as tasting as good, even though they could have the exact same flavour. So have a think about what your expectations are of those particular products. And then textbook activity 8.2.